Good morning, happy Friday. Tim Wilde's Friday Ascension update, and just going to be looking a little bit about what's going on out there at the moment. We're post-Lionsgate. The energies are, I wouldn't say they're simmering down. We're all utilising and integrating a vast quantity of light, and just like to say thank you for all the well wishes and the love that I've been sent as well, especially because I have had to take a little bit of time out. As most of you will know, David and I were due to be running our August healing and chakra activation on the Wednesday just gone, and so we've moved it to the 24th instead. So I have actually really appreciated taking the time to have a little bit of just downtime and recovery and integration and upgrading and all of the things that, I mean, it's one thing me sat here talking about it and giving out spiritual advice twice a week, but if I'm not walking my talk and doing the same things for myself, then obviously the universe is going to take care of that situation, which it did. So yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since I've taken that time and actually just stopped. Sometimes it's a case of having to. So bless all your hearts, thank you. It was especially for those of you that were booked on for Wednesday and really looking forward to it. It's we're gonna be coming back brighter and stronger on the 24th. So where are we at the moment? Because there are a lot of things building up. There is an incredible amount of media distraction occurring. There are situations that are kind of what we would literally say exploding in countries around the world, particularly the information that's coming out of Afghanistan, and there's a lot of eyes on China for various reasons at the moment, and these are all situations that are being anything that's being presented in the media to us, loud, bright, look at me, is designed to draw our attention away from where it should be. Now, I'm not saying that the situation in Afghanistan has got anything, it requires all of our love and all of our focus, but make sure that we're doing it from a place of heart-centeredness rather than being drawn into basically the threads and the streams and the emotional triggers that are presented in the media, because half the time you're not seeing the pictures that are actually the real intention behind the energy is very, very different. So we're going to be experiencing a big uptick in this now, okay? Whatever is coming out of the TV, whatever is coming out, I mean, I feel like a little bit like a stuck record this morning, kind of repeating the same thing, but it's like we're going through the same kind of scenarios again and again, but each time we're experiencing, they're bigger, they're brighter, they're more distracting, they're stronger, their appeal and their pull is designed with one thing in mind, which is to draw us away from what is really going on. And there's some incredible things happening on this planet energetically at the moment. I put a post out yesterday on my personal Facebook which noticed that my compass is no longer reading kind of north, south, east and west like it was normally. There has been changes. There are changes going on. There have been changes going on for a considerable period of time. But where does this leave us? What do we focus on? What do we do? And having tuned into this, again, I'm given the response of anchor your light, stay focused, stay in your heart, remember who you are, and remember the job that you have incarnated here to do at this time. It's almost a little bit like say you're in theatre, you've trained for your play or your presentation many times, even to the point where you've repeated the words and you're like, oh God, do I have to do my lines again? Well, all of a sudden you're now on stage and the spotlight is upon you. Okay, now is the time. So whatever you've been called to do, whether you've just woken up to this or whether you are you know, seasoned in the field, so to speak. This is the time where you are required to manifest all of the light and all of the love, all of the integrity and the set of skills that you've incarnated with, because it's very, very important that we anchor that aspect of our personalities, you know, the physical us. A lot of us might feel very kind of, you know, like in two worlds, and maybe even more than two worlds, and we're starting to remember our past master lifetimes, you know, the ones that are feeding our current incarnation, the skill sets, particularly the Atlanteans amongst you. You know, like I hear it so many times. You know, I remember being at Atlantis, I remember the good and I remember the bad. What do I do with this? And the way that I've always guided is to tune into the period of golden Atlantis and retrieve that highest frequency version, that aspect of yourself that is choosing to manifest now. Or it might have been in another time, it might have been in another space. There's a lot of people waking up at the moment who are, you know, like we're from the stars. We very few people actually are souls from Earth, although obviously some of us are. We've come from all corners of the universe, from different suns, different star systems, different planets, different dimensional spaces. And of course, when the strength of that connection comes through, it can be quite overwhelming. So we've either got that, or we're having to balance all of that out at the same time at the moment. So it's just like more juggling fun. But I am sensing and feeling very strongly that Mother Earth is starting now to begin her energetical transformation. Now, years ago, when tuning into all of this, I was presented with kind of like almost like a three-tier scenario. You got the old way of kind of bringing around a societal change, which is bashing it all back to the Stone Age and starting again. Or you've got like the kind of like the middle of the road where everything's kind of all mixed and jumbled up. And then you've got the highest level scenario, which is which is what, of course, all of us would most like to experience. Now, at some point in the past, it was decided by the Intergalactic Council that we were going to take the high road, that we were going to do this transformation, we were going to achieve the earth changes and the ascension of this planet without the incredible quantity of disruption that we experienced at the fall of Atlantis, say, for example, and all of the other kind of societies that have come crashing down. So this global change that we are experiencing is being steered and orientated in a very different way. And the reason why that is because the Earth is no longer third dimensional. It hasn't been third dimensional since 2012. And so the blueprints or the gold prints that we are now acting upon are from a higher frequency. They're not the old. We're not doing things the old way anymore. We've got the old way and the memory of the old way ingrained into the DNA of our bodies, into our emotional, our spiritual, and our mental fields. So the fears of this play upon us very strongly. And of course, all of these disaster scenarios, all of these survival buttons are very much being triggered at the moment. We're getting our buttons pressed. The news is designed specifically to smack us back into that old red base survival. Oh my God, you know, like I'm fearing for my life. Everything's, you know, the society is becoming draconian, controlling, authoritarian. All of these things look like they're potentially going to happen. And of course, the second that goes in, the fight and flight kicks in, and you go into a state of fear. And that is the vibration that the people that are controlling the 3D matrix want to hold us in. So, in the meantime, this is the really interesting thing that I've been watching and sensing and being given information, particularly via David Essery over the last 2 weeks, is that the chakra at the back of our neck, the one that we're going to be working with on on Wednesday, the Alta Major, is actually the reason why it's clearing at the moment is because that that was the way that we were wired into 3D. Now again, it's like I use the analogy of the movie The Matrix, when Neo gets unplugged from the Matrix and he's connected at the back of the neck. Now the clearing for this chakra actually began about 18 months ago. It began at the beginning of February 2020, when the global wake up push began to occur. So the global navel chakra activated and sent out this wave of unmistakable awakening around the planet. We're all plunged into these very challenging scenarios everywhere, and for those of us that are ready, we began to disconnect from the old matrix. And the disconnection at the back, from what I can gather, has actually been lengthy and quite painful, because if you look at the level of programming that it takes to hold a soul as powerful as you in 3D, it's some pretty intense wizardry. So being linked into this kind of like this false reality, this 3D learning plane via this particular chakra, has required an incredible amount of intensive programming, and the only way to describe it is once that's removed, once that's unclicked, all of the control methods begin to clear, all the spells, all the attachments, all the cords, call them hexes or curses or whatever you are, all via the chakra at the back of the neck, the Alta Major. And so it's almost been described as well as like an unwiring. You can see all the wiring being pulled out, and that particular area where it was connected very strongly for so long to that 3D matrix is now beginning to heal. And once you've unclipped yourself, once you've disconnected from that old form of reality which kept us so, the illusion was so complete. We were so immersed in 3D that we couldn't see what was going on. We weren't connected to spirit, or if we were, it was only little glimmers. We were given tiny little bits, like, you know, like little treats to keep us going. And for those of us that woke up within the matrix at that particular time, it was this glorious experience of, well, you know, this is where I am, but what, give me more. And we didn't start getting more until this process began to kick off in 2012, and we still then had to wait another 8 years before we start seeing the visible signs of the detachment from that 3D reality. For those of us that are removing ourselves from the matrix and beginning the powerful upsurge of our ascension pathway. So for all of us that are kind of we've disattached from, we've removed ourselves from the old way of the old matrix, the old way of seeing things, and you can't ever go back again at this point. There's a lot, you know, you can't ever, well, you can't, I suppose you could do if you were really dedicated to it. Oh, I don't like this, I'm going to plug myself back in and go back to sleep again. It just doesn't work like that. And now we are required to be so very focused on what we are building, what we are wishing to achieve, because we've chosen the high road. Okay, so this high road, this elevated pathway, it involves a transition of consciousness and society and reality all accumulated into one experience, but without the destruction. Okay, if you think about what we've learnt in the last 10,000 years, 20,000 years, and we're going back into the times of Atlantis now, how many times we've incarnated when a society has collapsed. It's kind of just been eradicated from the earth. You might have gone down with it, or you might have survived. The memories implanted within your DNA, it's coming up as a big trigger now. The amount of times we've experienced that, the way it was described to me by Serapis Bey and Merlin was that we as a soul family, as a massive group of awakened souls on this planet working towards the betterment, we don't need to experience that again, because we've already done that. What would be the point in covering that particular lesson again? What we're here to do is steer things in the correct direction. But that also, and this is the big thing that's coming through for me at the moment, is holding Mother Earth steady while she goes through these changes as well. Because we've got all of this new energy coming into the planet, and it's being integrated into the tectonic plates, into the crusts, into the land, into the ley systems, into the poles, into all of the sacred sites all around the earth. And with instability, you get the changes in the land, you get the changes in the sea. But with stability, with an anchoring of light, with a solid base for these energies, this is what we've been building, we can then smoothly usher the next period of time. So this has always been my target. This has always been what I've shown, that there was several possibilities the way that this would go. And for some people on another timeline, they might experience it, I don't know. But for where we're going, we're holding a higher reality and a higher picture as strong and as steadily as we possibly can. And this is what I believe that we are being drawn away from, is the potential for a smooth transition. Of course, the old matrix, the old 3D matrix, it would love us to have as much chaos as possible. With chaos, you can create control by kind of like with bodies of authority. You can take everything that's kind of like in chaos and control it. But with a smooth transition, with us in the driving seat, with us providing the stability for the changes, that doesn't occur. Okay, so this is the way that I've been working with the energies for so long. You ground, you anchor, you provide stability, you ground yourself and you ground the planet, and we work together as a cohesive team to get this done. So what we will see and what we will be presented with will be anything it will be anything but what we are trying to achieve. Okay, the pictures that will be shown to us will be to rattle our cages. Scenarios that we are actually probably personally experiencing around us will be designed to rattle our cages, to draw us back into 3D. So always be aware, always have your knowledge at hand, always know what is going on around you. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are saying that it's spiritual bypassing not to get involved in what's occurring. I'm not saying, it's not that we don't get involved. Of course we're involved, we're here, we're experiencing it, but it's how we react to that involvement that is paramount. It's our vibration which is paramount. So keeping ourselves high, bright and clear at all times is the key to moving forwards in this particular period of time that we've got coming up. So yeah, it's what I've always found very interesting about what's going on at the moment is that because of the level of our experience, what we've chosen to integrate and what we're getting involved with, we're not really given too much of an insight of what's going to occur until it actually happens, until it's on our doorstep, until we are actually in the realms of tangibly experiencing it, which is all part of the initiation. It's all part of the test and the experience that we've signed up for and that we've agreed to go through. So it could come from any angle, any particular source, but most importantly and above everything else, this is the time that we are reminded by the angels, by the unicorns, by the ascended masters, and for all of the beautiful high frequency souls helping us, to remember just how powerful we are. not just as an individual, but as a group. I can remember a story that Diana Cooper told me years ago, and this is back long before she was working in the spiritual field. She was a mum living in the Caribbean islands, bringing up her young children, and she had an idea about spiritual power, but she was nowhere near working with it, just how certain things worked. And there was a very powerful storm heading towards her island. Now, back in those days, if a storm hit your island, you ran for shelter, and like you coped with the devastation afterwards. I can remember telling me that she sat there and she called in as much assistance as possible, and all of a sudden, just before the storm hit the island, it swung off at a 90-degree angle and went elsewhere, literally before touchdown. And that was one of the first confirmations that she received, that when you ask, you receive. When you throw your focus and your intention and your manifestation at something, the energy changes, the universe responds. So if you think about how many of us, how many powerful, integrated souls, how many of you are all around the planet at the moment, who have the ability to unify and create these positive changes, this is where we're going to need to be. So you might hear something that triggers you, so you act accordingly to steer it back into a state of unity. You might hear something that you know needs healing, it needs intention, but you might be the only person that knows about it. You think to yourself, well, what can I do? What difference is it going to make if I call in the violet flame? Then we need thousands of us. One person standing in the strength of their I am presence is enough to make those changes. So you make the changes on your own if you have to, but if you're lucky enough or blessed enough to be working as a part of an integrated group, then you know full well that these changes are going to take place. So whether you're flying solo at the moment, or whether you are now already working with your soul family, take action. Whenever you hear or see or sense something that needs love, stability, unity, strength, clarity, and purpose added to it, do it. Don't hesitate, don't underestimate, don't kind of go through that who me thing. That's very common on our particularly within our kind of spiritual ranks, is to really kind of go through that what I call little me syndrome, where you think, well, what difference can I make on the planet, on this planet? The difference that you make is incredible. Okay, every single light on this planet at the moment is the light that is steering this incredible transition into a state of higher consciousness. So that is pretty much where we are, and I know I've kind of capped on the end of the Lionsgate a few times, but we have got so much stuff coming up. It's waiting in the winds. It's the all of the physical stuff that we are experiencing. You know, I know the last two times I've been online, I've been speaking about physical illness, how we react to kind of almost like what you call geopathic stress, etheric stress, or you know, how our bodies respond to vast quantities of light coming in. It's all happening for a very, very good reason. This clearing and balancing and integration that we are all experiencing at the moment is because it's actually occurring. These changes are occurring around us, so we adjust to it. And I'm very much picking up and sensing the fact that, like, the kind of the increase or the changes in the magnetics around this world are also responsible for a lot of the very intense physical symptoms that we're feeling, like the lethargy, the headaches, the aches and pains at the back of the neck as the altar major clears, the changes in the vision, the need to sleep, to self-love, to integrate, and change your diet, change your lifestyle, change your habits or whatever, or to simply just take that time, that downtime, that you time, if it's necessary. And it's because we've got this kind of huge wave of change now beginning to show its face around the planet. So yeah, that's where we are: strong, stable, unified and grounded. And I will be back on Monday morning with a Monday morning meditation to kickstart the week. So sending you all loads of love. I hope you've all had a beautiful week, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.